Thank you, Congresswoman, for coming on out and talking to us. In your opening statement, your written testimony, you talked about putting American workers first as the priority here, and I appreciate that. I think a lot of us agree with that. I guess I just wanted to ask you, because you talked about the vision that you have for that should be a vision for our country. So I guess I wanted to ask you to sort of expand on that vision. Is $7.25 an hour, is that enough to live on in America in the year 2025?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. I know Ranking Member Sanders asked the same question. I recognize that it hasn't been changed, the minimum wage.
I guess I'm just asking you, do you think that's enough for a worker to live on? I'm just trying to get a sense of your vision for what the standard of life for an American worker is.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, for every state, for every community, again, I mentioned Oregon. What happens in Portland doesn't happen in Grants Pass. It certainly doesn't happen.
I understand that about
Oregon.
But I guess I would ask you, what is $7.25 an hour? That is what in an annual term? Do you know off the top of your head?
Oh,
it's not a math question.
Yeah,
so I'm just trying to get a sense of it. So it's about $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want to ask you, do you think that there is a state in this country where someone can live comfortably on their own for $15,000 a year?
Well, I don't know if there is, but I would look and work with Congress. This is a congressional issue. I hope I can support you in telling the story of what's happening on the ground.
But that's what I'm just trying to get a sense of from you is what your vision is, because I do want to try to engage and see if we can work on that together. So, for instance, biggest issue I keep hearing about is about affordability of housing and the challenges that people are facing when it comes to that. So again, I'm just trying to get a sense of where you're at on this. Like, do you have a sense of what percentage of someone's salary should go towards housing? Is there an upper limit in your mind of where you'd like to see that? Well,
I know oftentimes they talk about, if it's 10%, 20%, but here's my commitment, Senator. My commitment to you is to tell that story. I will come out and visit every state's and understand what's important to them and tell that story not only to the president, but also work with members of Congress. And if you all see fit, I will fully and fairly enforce the minimum wage laws that you all see fit and work together. I know, again,
it needs to be a conversation between us here. It's not just on us. You're going to be somebody who's supposed to be fighting for the American worker. Is 50% of someone's salary too high in terms of what goes towards housing?
Well, again, depending on what the salary is, people can determine that. I mean, if I had to take a guess, you're wanting me to say yes or no. It's hard to guess on what people want to spend on their housing, but I do want to help the American worker. I want them to make enough money. I want them to give them the opportunities, and I want to work with Congress on this issue because it is important. This is a sensitive issue. We hear about it all the time. You know that,
it's as I said, the top issue. And I'll say that when it comes to the lowest median rents that we see in this country right now, it's around $850, $900 a month, which is at around $10,000 a month. Yeah. And these are in some of the states where, again, the minimum wage is $15,000 a year. So talking about 2/3 of their salaries. When it comes to paid leave, I know a colleague of mine was going to raise this. We were able to move forward on government employees. I wanted to just get a sense, do you believe that all American workers are entitled to paid leave?
Again, we don't have a federal paid leave.
Should we?
Well, that again, I know.
I'm just trying to get a sense of your vision. I get it. You're not a lawmaker anymore, but I'm just trying to get a sense of what you're going to be fighting for. What's your vision for the American worker?
Well, my vision for the American worker is to achieve the American dream.
I understand that, but is a part of the American dream paid leave for all workers?
Well, again, I cannot commit to you today that I would say 100% paid leave across the board is something that should be taken up by the federal government. Independent of states, state of Oregon, again, they choose to do that respective of their states. I want people to have the opportunities to keep more of their hard-earned dollars. I know the president, again, is in line with the America First agenda to have those freedoms, to keep those hard-earned dollars that they earn, and we want to make the most prosperous opportunities available for them to earn the most based on what they are skilled to do, and offer them the development and the skills that they can to earn that opportunity. I want this more than anything.
Yeah, and look, I want it too, and that's why, if confirmed, I want to work with you on this.
Absolutely.
But I'll just tell you, when I talk to workers back in New Jersey, they say it feels like death from a thousand cuts right now. There's housing, there's healthcare, there's so many other things. They're working 2 to 3 jobs just to be able to get by. They're not asking for the moon. They're just asking to be able to live a life of dignity and decency. And I hope that we can at least be able to stand up and say that that's what we're going to fight for. I yield back.